1st near 87th and Magnolia.
The screaming, is that going to stick with you, what you heard? I thought they were just, they were arguing or something, but the scream, you can feel it.
Back in 2015, something unsettling aired on national television. It was an interview that at first glance looked like any other true crime segment. Dr. Phil McGraw sat across from a convicted killer, attempting to understand the mind behind the horrific crime. But something about this one felt different. The killer was a 17-year-old named Zachary Davis. 3 years earlier, in 2012, Zachary had entered his mother's bedroom while she slept, and with a sledgehammer in hand, he bludgeoned her to death. The interview that followed was graphic. Zachary calmly recounted the details of the murder in a quiet, strange, monotone voice, his demeanor cold and disconnected. But there's one moment in that interview that often gets overlooked, a moment that, when you really listen to it, feels off.
Did you kill your mother?
Yeah.
And why did you kill her?
She wasn't taking care of my family.
And so, because she wasn't taking care of you and your family, you decided to kill her.
When Dr. Phil first asks Zachary if he killed his mother, there's a pause. Zachary stutters slightly, hesitating, and then, barely audible, he seems to mutter something. If you listen closely, it sounds like he's saying,
Me.
just before saying,
Yeah.
It's brief, almost imperceptible, but incredibly eerie. It feels like two conflicting thoughts colliding in real time. So what exactly happened here? Zachary Davis had a long documented history of mental illness. In 2007, at just 9 years old, his father passed away. That loss sent him into what many described as a psychological spiral. He began hearing voices, some of which he claimed belonged to his dead father, and was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia and severe depression. He became withdrawn and isolated. Students at his school described him as strange. They saw him as an outsider. After his father's death, he began speaking in a low, raspy whisper, one that never left. It was thought to be a kind of defense mechanism, a way of distancing himself from the world around him, or perhaps from the identity he no longer recognized. After killing his mother, Zachary set the family home on fire, hoping his older brother Joshua would perish in the flames. Joshua escaped. Zachary was found and arrested not long after, claiming that it was the voice of his father that told him to carry out the murder. But this clip, this tiny unsettling moment in the interview, it almost feels like a glimpse into a deeper internal war. One part of Zachary denying what he's done, another part accepting it, like two identities trapped inside the same body. Some viewers chalk it up to a symptom of schizophrenia or as simply some misinterpreted stuttering, while others aren't so sure. There are those who believe something darker took hold of Zachary, that when his father died, something evil stepped in, something that never left. Whatever the truth is, this moment stands out as one of the most chilling parts of the interview, not because of what was said, but because of what we almost didn't hear.
Me.
Mira, ahí está. Mira, güey, mira.
A man spent many nights wandering through Mexico's darkest corners, searching for spirits, witches, and echoes of something just beyond the veil. For a while, it worked. He built a name for himself, chasing the things most people would run from. But then, something changed. Sergio Villegas, better known online as Sergio VG, was a Mexican paranormal investigator and content creator. He was born and raised in Santa Cruz de Juventino Rosas, a quiet town in the state of Guanajuato, where superstition, folklore, and cartel activity often exist side by side. Under the name Extremo Paranormal, Sergio launched a YouTube channel that quickly gained a cult following. Over 990 videos, over 200,000 subscribers, millions of views, and one recurring theme, fear. Sergio explored cemeteries, ghost towns, haunted ranches, and places whispered to be cursed by witchcraft. He believed in what he was doing, and his audience believed in him, searching for everything from spirits and witches to local urban legends like La Llorona, the Weeping Woman. His methods and videos, often wild and outrageous to the point of being unbelievable, were always entertaining for those who tuned in to watch. But then, something unexpected took place in February of 2025, when Sergio encountered something far more dangerous than ghosts. Late one night, Sergio returned to his vehicle, a white Hummer, and found it vandalized. The tires were slashed, his mirrors broken, the body of the truck scratched and damaged. So Sergio went live. He was furious. On camera, he showed the damage and called out the attackers directly. "Damn thieves, damn envious people," he shouted. "We'll be seeing each other soon." A bold thing to say, especially in Guanajuato, a region plagued by cartel violence. But to Sergio, it felt like he was standing up for himself, though he didn't realize he just painted a giant target on his back.
Le navajearon, le pasaron la navaja. Ay, maldita gente. Ahí nada más para que vean, gente, a lo que nos exponemos.
The very next day, Sergio posted again, this time more defiant than angry. He uploaded photos of the damage with the caption, "Beware of envy, mijo." He then shared a video of himself singing along to a popular song about living like a cartel boss. Some say it was just a joke. Others think he was sending a message. Following this, he announced there was a live stream planned for later that evening, but it never happened. That night, around 11 p.m., Sergio was driving on a bypass road near his hometown with a friend when another vehicle pulled up beside them. This wasn't a robbery, and it wasn't random. Suddenly, multiple gunmen opened fire on the vehicle, completely shredding Sergio's SUV with bullets. Sergio was hit multiple times, slumping over in the driver's seat, while his friend managed to escape the vehicle, only to collapse in the street in front of a nearby kindergarten, bleeding profusely from gunshot wounds, all while the killers sped away, vanishing into the night. When police arrived, Sergio's Hummer was still running, door open, headlights on, like the scene of a horror movie. Many believe the people who vandalized Sergio's truck were connected to a criminal group, and that his live stream made them feel exposed, humiliated, challenged, and that can get you killed, especially in cartel territory. Sergio was pronounced dead at the scene, caused by multiple gunshot wounds, and his friend was still alive, but badly injured. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition, but ultimately succumbed to his injuries also. Some have speculated there may be more to the story, that Sergio possibly filmed something he shouldn't have in a remote area during a nighttime investigation, or that he got confused with someone else, as his Hummer did resemble a vehicle potentially tied to a cartel or a similar criminal organization, which ultimately prompted the initial vandalization, but there's no proof of that, only rumors. His YouTube channel still exists. The videos are still there, now a place where fans return not only to be entertained, but to remember, because somewhere between the real and the paranormal, Sergio VG disappeared into the dark. It was meant to be a break from everything, the perfect escape. A week of freedom, relaxation, and time spent by the water with friends. But by the end of it, one person would be gone, taken forever. In April of 2025, Alejandro Gonzalez, who was just 20 years old, traveled with a group of his friends from his hometown in Saginaw, Michigan, to a resort in Cancun, Mexico, for what was supposed to be a carefree spring break. After arriving, everyone quickly entered vacation mode, unwinding and soaking in the calm. But that sense of peace sadly wouldn't last for very long. That Sunday, Alejandro and his friends spent the afternoon wading in the waters of Playa Chacmul, a beach praised for its beauty but infamous to those who know for something far more dangerous, hidden riptides. At first, it felt like any ordinary day of swimming, but beneath the surface, the current had begun to shift, quietly building strength until, without warning, it quickly turned violent. One of Alejandro's friends was suddenly dragged out by the tide, pulled into deeper water faster than anyone could react, and without hesitation, Alejandro went after her. No second thoughts, no regard for himself, just instinct and concern for his friend. He fought against the current, pushing forward through the chaos, until finally he reached her, and with what strength he had left, he pushed her back toward the safety of the shore. And as she fought her way back to the beach, Alejandro was grabbed by a riptide that pulled him beneath the surface. He was swallowed by the waves, gone before anyone could reach him. Witnesses say he vanished just as his friend reached the safety of the shoreline, alive because of him. His friends frantically scanned the water in a panic, waiting for him to surface, but Alejandro never came back up. Still, they watched and waited. Minutes turned to hours, but there was nothing. Search teams were brought in, boats combed the shoreline, helicopters circled overhead, and divers plunged down below. For 3 days, they searched, but the ocean stayed silent, and Alejandro was nowhere to be found. Three days after Alejandro disappeared, something horrifying washed ashore. Beachgoers stumbled upon it, half buried in the sand. What was left of a human body, but barely. Just fragments, scattered pieces of a life that had only recently been whole. And it wasn't long before an identity was confirmed by authorities. It was Alejandro. His remains were almost completely unidentifiable. He was severely decomposed, having multiple limbs missing. But somehow, what came next was almost worse than the discovery. Truly graphic, disturbing footage began circulating online. Someone nearby had filmed the moment his body was found, and it spread like wildfire before his family even knew for sure that he was gone. Many of them saw the video before they got the call, before they were ready, before they had given up all hope that he may still be found alive. The images didn't feel real. His face, pale but eerily untouched, was almost peaceful, but everything below his neck was only bones. The disturbing videos and photos showing every grisly detail of it. It was a truly horrifying sight. But how did he end up in this condition so quickly? In tropical waters like those off of Cancun, it isn't uncommon for scavengers like fish, crabs, even sharks to feed on bodies left adrift. It's a logical explanation as to how Alejandro was found in this condition after only a few days, though not a comforting one. But in the end, Alejandro died a hero, only with concern for someone else, someone he cared about, putting them first in a selfless act of courage, ultimately met by the ocean's cold indifference. The sea has a way of lulling us into a false sense of peace. It feels safe and calm until it isn't, and Alejandro's final moments will stay forever lost in terrifying silence.